The judges started Michele's 2-minute countdown. He dives downwards very quickly and almost catches the safety divers out of position. After 3 minutes, the judges expect to see the rookie Michele surface. It's a long wait. There is no way of knowing if he is okay. Michele went deeper than the 170 feet that will qualify him as a professional. It's enough for him to enter international events, enough to get him noticed by sponsors.
I was really excited. I was waiting impatiently to go down. And because this was my first competition, I was a bit tense. I started to think especially about my grandfather. And it was a beautiful dive.
Michele's determination to succeed is born from his determination to stay in Sicily. When most young people are leaving from mainland Italy, freediving offers his best chance of earning a living and keeping alive the island's seafaring traditions. A journey across the length of Italy, from south to north, revealed an astonishing variety of landscape. From its coast to its inland valleys to its northern patchwork fields, most of the nation's ground is utilized. But Italy's northern border, guarded by the mighty peaks of the Alps, is a different territory altogether. It is Italy's one true wilderness. Formed millions of years ago, when the continents of Africa and Europe collided, the 15,000-foot peaks are made from rock that was once beneath a vanished ocean. In deep winter, extreme weather conditions and unpredictable avalanches make it one of the most dangerous territories on the planet. Its landscape is impassable to all, but the most experienced of mountaineers. Maurizio Vincenzi patrols this alpine wilderness with a voluntary team of mountain rescuers.
When I'm in the mountains, I'm not calm. I'm always alert. Not because I feel fear, but because I know that these mountains are treacherous.
The team grew up together. They are mountain men who know they can rely on each other in an emergency. Throughout winter, rescue exercises keep them sharp.
The fact that we do the job voluntarily is very important. We're not forced to. We do it out of a passion for the mountains.
Si vive in un gruppo di gente tutta appassionata.
At the base of the ski slopes lies Peio, Italy's highest village and Maurizio's home. Only 2,000 people live here all year round. Most, like Maurizio's family and friends, have been here for generations. But life hasn't always been peaceful. During the First World War, a fierce battle with Austria raged across the peaks above the village. Maurizio's grandfather was one of the 15,000 men who fought along the highest front line in Europe. Abandoned since the end of the war, the battlefield has been frozen and forgotten for nearly a century. Until now. Global warming has caused more ice and snow to melt than usual, and Maurizio wants to return to his grandfather's battlefield to look for evidence of their struggle.
Up here, in the beauty of the Alps, you feel the passion for their history. By coming here, I feel a connection with my grandfather, who was one of the thousands who lived and fought here.
Ogni volta qualcosa ti colpisce più della volta prima.
During the war, this glacier was a no-man's land that separated the Austrian and Italian armies. To cross it meant certain death. At the edge of the glacier, dug into the rock wall, the silhouette of a hut. Locked under ice since 1918, the hut and its contents have been frozen in time. This was a soldier's barracks used for shelter and supplies. Food containers, cooking utensils, and the clothes are found just as the soldiers abandoned them. Scattered around the barracks are rusted bombs, disarmed after decades of exposure.
Every object tells its story, and every object makes me think what could have happened. Understanding how they lived, how they moved, what they used, and how they dressed can be understood through these objects.
Gli oggetti che si trovano tuttora in montagna.
This hut was the soldiers' last refuge before being sent to the front line, half a mile ahead at the summit of San Matteo. Nearly 100 years on, Maurizio follows in their footsteps along the nation's border. Here, in a landscape where survival is a fight in itself, hundreds of young Italians and Austrians lost their lives fighting each other. Today, a cross stands in remembrance of all who fell during the battle.
Poi adesso con l'Europa ormai I confini si sono un po' battuti, quindi ognuno vive la propria vita.
Nowadays, the borders have been broken down. Everybody lives their life freely. Some feel more Italian than others. The past has been forgotten now that we all live in Europe.
Il passato è stato un po' dimenticato, quindi si vive la giornata, si vive in Europa, quindi si vive senza nessun pregiudizio.
12,000 feet high, on his country's frontier, Maurizio has discovered a world known to his grandfather. Now, it is part of his own history. At the base of the Alps stands one of the fashion capitals of the world, the city of Milan. Here, along the streets of Italy's economic heart, fashion is the pulse of life. Looking good is not just a choice, but an expectation. The average Italian woman spends the equivalent of $6,000 per year on clothes. What she buys is influenced by Milan's Fashion Week, where local designs are showcased to buyers and press from around the world. Success on the catwalk means success in an industry worth over $6 billion. Angela Missoni is head designer of one of the best-known fashion labels in Italy. The family firm of Missoni was started by her parents 53 years ago. She's preparing for the Milan Catwalk Show, her most important yet. Angela's challenge is to keep Missoni, famous for his brilliant pattern, competitive alongside Prada, Versace, and Gucci. To do this, she's creating a new flowing style, breaking away from Missoni's traditional style.
I'm aware that if you're up for a certain number of seasons, there will be one season you go down. There's nothing to do because you're in fashion, and nobody can stay at the top. So I already consider Missoni like a miracle.
The Missoni signature is explosive color and bold striped knitwear. Missoni is unique in fashion. Unlike any other label, Missoni weaves their own pattern from bare thread in their own factory on the outskirts of Milan. Every part of their clothing is truly made in Italy. Angela's brothers, Vittorio, who is the business manager, and Luca, the menswear designer, join her on the factory floor each day. Together, they produce the entire range of Missoni garments with the same attention to detail pioneered by their parents. Every day, in the Italian tradition, the whole family stops work and meets for lunch in their parents' home, built next door to the factory. Ottavio Missoni and his wife Rosita started the business in a one-bedroom apartment. Now their label turns over $250 million a year. 85-year-old Ottavio has always set high standards. After surviving 4 years as a prisoner of war, he represented Italy in the 1948 Olympics and designed the world's first tracksuit for the team. Now, Ottavio has handed over the control of the Missoni empire to his children. How it is run, it's up to them.
In our case, the family and the business are two separate things, but they've always been linked. Now my kids are involved in the business, they give me some duties and I give them my blessing.
Del lavoro, del business, mi danno I compiti, io faccio le benedizioni e loro.
They wanted to come and work in the company, so if they don't go well, it's not my fault, it's theirs.
It's 6 weeks until showtime. Angela is working on the cut of the new designs, but there is a problem. After last season's success, the factory has been hard-pressed meeting back orders. Now there isn't much time to produce the intricate new designs Angela needs for the show.
We have to be ready in 1.5 months with 300 new garments, pieces of clothes, right? And they have to have a meaning and they have to go together. And that's why it's the moment where you're rushing to have your prints done, so that because if you don't have the fabric, you cannot do the dresses.
Angela heads down to the factory floor for a crisis meeting. She has to decide which of her designs take priority in the limited time they have. The factory must work flat out. The future of the whole Missoni empire rests on meeting that deadline.
You have 300 people working here, plus you have another 500 people working in other factories outside. And you do feel responsible, right?
It is a heavy burden to maintain Missoni's iconic status and pioneer new designs. Her success hangs on her next collection. In the city of Venice, as Alessandro Mozzato prepares to take the most important test of his life, the temperature is barely above freezing. If Alessandro fails to get his gondolier license, he will not be able to work here. He will have to move his young family out of the city of his birth. The examiners are waiting for him. One of them is his mentor, Doriano.
First, we're looking at the way he presents himself. Once he starts rowing, he can't touch the sides. He can't push off the walls with his feet. And he must row steadily. You know, we're talking about a gondola who carries people, not bags of potatoes.
For the next 20 minutes, Alessandro must display total control. One mistake will be enough to jeopardize his career. Alessandro starts well, with no problems. But as he rows deeper into the San Marco district, the canals get narrower and the turns get tighter. Halfway through the test, Alessandro faces an unexpected obstacle. Building work on the corner of a canal has narrowed his turning circle. If any part of the gondola touches the canal wall, he will lose points. With barely enough space, the edge of the gondola brushes a canal pole, enough to catch the examiner's attention. With a clear run to the end of the course, Alessandro's test is over. It will take a month for his test result.
Insisto a dire che il gondoliere non è che non si nasce gondoliere, si diventa. Allora, come prova per me è andata sulla sufficienza, bene. Comunque deve imparare a adesso convivere con la gondola, con l'ambiente. Come voga, per me è ok.
After dedicating the last 3 years to becoming a gondolier, Alessandro must now wait for the examiners to make a final decision. Only then will he find out if he's going to fulfill his dream. In the Tuscan valleys, the city of Siena is preparing for its annual civil war. Tomorrow, 10 of its rival neighborhoods will compete against each other in a bareback horse sprint around the city's central square. Its ancient bricks are being covered with 4 inches of compact sand in preparation for the race. It is an exact process. Both horses and jockeys have met their death on this tightly cornered track. In a tradition centuries old, La Lupa neighborhood has organized a feast in honor of their jockey, Alberto.
I realized that during the days of the Palio, you're a hero. All the children look up to you, and the older generations put their faith in you. So it gives you a lot of responsibility.
Questa cosa, anche se ti dà tanta responsabilità.
It's an occasion when the whole neighborhood comes together, even some who live abroad. They all want to be at the dinner where Alberto sits in honor at the top table. No one misses out.
Delle emozioni che mi avete trasmesso, siete veramente un grande fuoco. E visto che sono nato e cresciuto qui in questa contrada, è giusto e sia qui che io vinca il mio primo palio nel Balsamo.
Tomorrow the race will either elate this community or crash it. For the people of Siena, there is no in-between. Passions will reach boiling point, old scores will be settled, and new rivalries created. The city of Siena is defined by the Palio. In the European-style capital of Milan, Fashion Week has started. Italy's most famous labels are presenting their latest collections to buyers and critics from around the world. A good show can bring huge profits. A bad show can put a label out of business. Fashion designer Angela Missoni is preparing for her catwalk show tomorrow. It's her most important yet. The Missoni factory has just delivered garments and accessories for the show. 22 of the world's top catwalk models have been waiting so that each outfit can be individually fitted. Angela is fretting over every last detail.
Terribile. È terribile. Non su, non su. Giù, 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 là.
Her latest designs are very different from previous collections. By using softer shapes and a muted palette, she could disappoint Missoni's usual clients.
Missoni is a label people like to rely on also. So if they find a good shape of trouser, they would like to find it next year too.
Now the hardest choice has to be made, the final lineup of the show. After working the factory hard to meet the deadline, one of the dresses has to be dropped. It is a costly decision to make at such a late stage.
This dress is not going to be in the show. It's not a statement. It was confusing. Might be a very good dress to sell anyway, but
She has to keep the hardened fashion buyers and critics captivated, so the 54 outfits in the show must be unforgettable.
Press and the customer, they're seeing a lot of shows during those days, and they can get bored and tired easily, so the show has to be fast, and I hope that they will remember a couple of silhouettes. So this would be my goal.
Despite this, Angela still has to find the right girl for the final outfit. 19-year-old New Yorker, Emina, wants to be a new face at Missoni.
It's a big thing to be in the Missoni house. It's Missoni. Everybody's been known of Missoni since my mother was a little kid.
Angela and her team closely examine the way the dress fits Emina. They have to. If its shape is in any way compromised on the catwalk, it could lose its impact and end up costing the business a fortune.
I feel that Emina is really right for this one.
At the 11th hour, Angela gets a call from French Vogue magazine wanting to shoot a family portrait for their upcoming issue. With work still to be done, Angela decides the publicity is worth it.
I don't know why I said yes when they asked me to do this picture. the night before the show. It's the list of the thing you want to do when you're concentrated on the show and your stuff, and you say, go and take a picture of yourself for a magazine. It's just not in the head is not there, right?
At this late stage, the only one who can join Angela is a 26-year-old son, Francesco. Tomorrow, Angela will present her most important collection yet to the world's most influential fashion buyers. Months of painstaking work and generations of creativity will be judged instantly. It is 7 a.m. on the day of the show. Each model begins a 3-hour hair and makeup session. The entire Missoni family arrives early as well, and Angela's 2 daughters join the backstage buzz. But Ottavio Missoni isn't losing any sleep. Already